Welcome to the Meditation Podcast, and you can find all our episodes on meditationpodcast.org. And this week, my guest is Ambika Devi. But before I talk about what she's achieved, she's actually also been on my speaking podcast. So you just make sure you don't miss that. She's done some brilliant breath work and everything. So that's the speakingpodcast.com. So without further ado, please welcome my number one listener's choice. Yeah, you're still number one, and you've done a few meditations. They're fantastic. Please welcome Ambika.
Thank you so much, Roy. It is always a fun fest being with you. I absolutely adore your podcast, and I love listening to them. I was listening to an episode this morning with one of our favorite speakers, Eric Edmeades, on the Speakers Podcast.
Yeah, no, that was wonderful. Yeah, no, brilliant. So normally I have the recordings, and you've given me some wonderful ones with the chakras and everything for the meditation. But a lot of people are asking me, what's meditation? How do I start? How much time? And no better person to tell us than yourself.
That's right, because I'm the Yoda of meditation, Yogini Yoda. Well, I think one of the biggest confusions that people make about meditation is that it's a destination, and it's really a journey. So if we can just get that through our heads, that there is no final endpoint that we end up, but that it's kind of a mystical ride that we go on, then that's going to make it so much easier. I think also one of the challenging points of meditation is understanding if you're there, because you're looking for a destination. It's really a nothingness. It's more like in between channels than landing on a channel. And also, I think people try to find things there. They try to get ideas, and they try to get visions. And yeah, visions happen, but a true meditator just lets them kind of sweep over and doesn't react to them. Now, if we are looking to clear our heads and we sit down for a proper seated meditation, and we launch in to that state of being, and it is a state of being, then when we're coming out of it, this is where I feel all those ideas happen. So to get into meditation, we can get in three different ways. Physical activity, and I think this is one of the most popular. I know you tell me if you've seen this or experienced this. You ever watch sports or any kind of sporting competition?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, well, you're a guy. I don't want to assume. And I used to really, really enjoy watching ice skaters. I just, there's something phenomenal about being on a tiny piece of metal on ice. That's just nuts. I used to ice skate. I used to play ice hockey till the boys got too big. But ice skaters would come off the rink, and right away the sportscasters are putting the mics in their faces. How was that? What did it feel like? And they're in a glaze, just like, I don't know. And their coach is kind of whispering some stuff, and they're trained. They're trained to collect all the stuffed animals and the roses and give some feedback, and they know they've done the routine so many times, and maybe they remember something. But the thing is, they were just in what a lot of sports figures call the zone. And that zone is the meditative state. It is the state of meditation. And being in that zone has symptoms. And the symptoms are, you don't know your name. You don't know what day it is. You don't know what time it is. You don't know if you have any kind of gender identification. And the most important is you don't know that you are. Now, meaning that you're not aware of being in a physical body. You're not aware of what we call physical surroundings. You are merged with the ocean. I like to think of it as an ocean, a cosmic ocean of oneness. And in that ocean of oneness, you are no longer what we yogis call the doer. And this is a question. I lived in an ashram and studied there in the Bahamas. Not a bad place to study. Don't get jealous just yet. We had 14-hour days, and if I had an hour off in the middle of the afternoon, I was sacked out face down, fell down on the beach or on my bed and took a nap because it was exhausting. But there were things that I learned there that were incredible, and questions that would come up by my teachers who were swamis would be, who is the doer? Who's doing things? Who's speaking when we hear that sub-vocalization going through the mind chatter? I know all of you listening experience this. And I wonder, have any of you actually asked yourself, who's talking? Is it your voice that you're hearing? I don't know. But meditation will take that away. And as a sports performer, athlete, that you get out of your head and the body starts acting and reacting, but you're not doing it from a mind place. You've conditioned your muscles to get into everything. So that's one way, but you don't have to be a phenomenal sports figure to launch this way into meditation. And one of my favorite ways to do it is to put on a song that really motivates me and gets me to want to dance. I dance around vigorously to the song, and then I sit still or lie down on the floor and just do nothing and focus in on the breath. That's an amazing way to launch into that state. And it can happen. Have you ever, tell me, Roy, have you ever been driving your car somewhere? Maybe it's somewhere you drive a lot, so you're really used to the pathways, and all of a sudden you realize you missed a turn, or you're driving someplace that maybe you've driven a few times, so you know it well enough to kind of know the turns, but all of a sudden you thought you were back 3 turns ago, and you're here, and you think, whoa, who is driving? That happens to me. Don't worry, that there's still consciousness happening and helping you do that driving, but that is because you slipped into that state of meditation. In that state, we can do phenomenal things. So learning how to meditate in a still posture, lying down or seated, or even floating. It happens to me floating in the water sometimes. I have this crazy superpower of floating on my back. I don't need a raft. I can actually fall asleep that way. I'm a pretty good sleeper. So, and I think it's from meditating so much that this has happened to me, that I kind of go out, I zone out. I know also you've had this watching something on TV. Football. European football can do this easy because it's so back and forth. You could get into that zone where you're not blinking. Or maybe you've been trying to get somebody's attention that's watching something on the television, and you walk right in front of them and you're waving and trying to get their attention, and it's as if they're looking right through you. They're in the state of meditation. The brain will go into this. We have different brain waves that run all at the same time. They don't cancel each other out. 1 or 2 can become more primarily dominant. And for meditation, alpha and theta are the waves that we want kind of hovering and balancing out together. This can happen spontaneously, and every 90 seconds, we potentially can go there. This is how hypnosis works. A great hypnotherapist can grab you and pull you at that point. They can tease you up to it, and then they can pull you and put you right in that hypnotic state. It's not unlike meditation. They're pretty much the same thing. Only in hypnosis, we're keeping you a little bit more aware. And this is what guided meditation is. This is what we're using as practitioners of yoga nidra and all these creative visualization meditations. And the ones that you get really attracted to and you think, I'm going to use that one again, that one really worked, it's because they were able to pull you into that hypnotic state, into that state of meditation. But once you lose track of the words, that's when you're meditating. That's the difference between hypnosis. In hypnosis, you tend to stay in touch with the words that the person is speaking. But in meditation, you'll disappear completely. And then you might come back when everybody's waking up and think, whoa, I must have fallen asleep. Now you might have. And if you need to sleep, you will sleep. So I don't want any of you to ever fight the sleep. Promise me. I don't ask for promises often because I take promises really seriously. But I hope you can promise me that if you're listening to guided meditation and you're consistently falling asleep, do it. Just do it because you're tired. You're really tired and you need that sleep, and it will give you deeper sleep than you're getting at night, and it's rejuvenative. You know, people ask me, how do you stay so young looking? What's your face routine? I sleep more. I meditate more. That's what it is. I don't have anything fancy I'm using. I'm not endorsing any product line. I put oil. Ayurveda teaches us this. Sister science to yoga. And yoga is meditation. These are really, really important to
But
just
you said there
let
about
yourself
falling
relax.
asleep, because I know that a lot of people, I never liked sitting up doing meditation. I always lie down, and I found it works for me. And some people are kind of insisting, oh, you must sit up and go in the, such a posture and everything. So what's your view? Do what's
Well,
comfortable for you?
there's 3 states, 3 ways to get into it. Now, 1, physical activity. 2, creative visualization, guided meditation. 3, which is the simplest instructions, but the most challenging way to achieve it, sit up as straight as you can because we want to straighten the spine. Close your eyes. That's 2 out of 3. Not so hard so far. And 4, there is no 4, 3. I must have slipped into meditation just then. I give myself instructions and I'm out. And the 3rd is to focus on the breath, and the breath coming in and out through the nose. Now, I know a lot of physical sports training and weightlifting and all kinds of directives to breathe out your mouth, but doing that will create dryness, and that's not comfortable. We want to stay comfortable when we're meditating. Mm-hmm. The spine in that straight, erect position is to help give space to the vertebra, which gives space to the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems. And it helps to harmonize the anchors, which are the chakras, which I do not see as flat CDs like discs spinning that have black and white sides to them. To me, they're more like sea anemones that can kind of move around. They can shift. They're not necessarily always aligned. And when I think of anything, because I have done chakra meditations for the meditation podcast.
You have indeed.
Yeah. I'm not thinking of balancing them. I'm thinking of harmonizing them. So they're like musical notes that can then play beautiful chords of music. And that's when we're really getting the energy flowing in our bodies, our energetic layers. So our bodies, minds, and spirits, but there's even other sub-layers to that, getting that all flowing.
Oh, beautiful. And like I find as well, I remember, I think it was Gilong Tong was saying about even brushing your teeth, that be conscious or washing your hands, be totally present, because a lot of the times people are looking at their Facebook or they're thinking about, what they must do next. And I think by being present, not only if you do some meditation in the morning or the evening, but if you can just be conscious throughout the day, that you're not letting your mind, be cluttered, that you're staying more calm. And the one thing that I have found with meditation is I am way more productive than most people. And I put it down to meditation because I don't have the clutter. If I'm doing something, I'm
Sure.
present.
Absolutely. It's like building a muscle.
Yeah.
The more you're practicing it, the easier it is to get into that state. And then the easier it is to utilize that state for focus. Now, seated meditation is one level. And then to take it to the next level is to be in that state of meditation and physically doing things. This is what happens to these athletes, like the ice skaters. They get into that meditative state while they're out there doing a 2-minute performance, and then they're just, that's what the athletes call the flow state. They're flowing. I don't know a better word to use for it.
Yeah.
And then there's another level. Do you want to know what it is?
Of course.
It's utilizing the dream state when the body is sleeping, when the body is relaxed. So some of us know this as lucid dreaming. And this is the most advanced state of meditation, when we can learn how to get the body to fully relax, when we can become aware inside the state of dreaming, and then we can actually utilize that state of dreaming. This is where you can get unbelievable amounts of information. You've heard people talk about downloading information as humans, right? We've learned this term from computers because we download things into our computer. Now, the way I see our relationship to the mind, I've already explained. The mind is like an ocean. It's like a vast cosmic ocean of oneness. And we all have a pipeline. I see it like a pipeline that comes into our body computer, which is the brain, and we bring information in, and then we start to function with it, cognate it, understand it, and we can awaken from lucid dreaming with the information and go and write it down or create that piece of art or the next amazing move in our lives. That's the trickiest one to get into. And it takes practice. They all take practice. And, another question people ask all the time is, well, how long? Again, wanting an endpoint. Exactly. Do people write in and ask questions about this? How long will it take this to work?
Yeah, lots of people ask. It's like, how long should I meditate for? It's like, I don't have half an hour, I don't have an hour, and you can do 1 minute if need be.
We have the mini break. We have my mini break meditation on the podcast. So for all of you who haven't quite dipped your toe all the way in the pool, that's the one I recommend you start with, because anytime you use that, you're going into that state. Remember, 90 seconds it takes to get there. If you can get there, and that's potential, it could be shorter, could be a little bit longer, but once you're there, it should be feeling so comfortable that you don't want to leave. You're not in your imagination thinking, what time is it? Are we done yet? Have I gotten there? Have I arrived? So me and my big fat claim through my dissertation challenge, I decided to make it a simple challenge sentence. I want to teach people to meditate so that they know that they are. And that's what my mission is. So all of this that I give to people is about, try this, take a bite of this, listen to this for less than 5 minutes, and let me know. Let me know. Did you get there? Did you experience something?
And I think, like a lot of people, they think, oh, I've tried it and yeah, it didn't really work. And how long did you try it for? Once or 3 days? I tell them it's like eating. You eat every day. You should meditate every day. And that way you just get into a calm state. And, you mentioned about the lucid dreaming. Like what I can do is if I have something that I'm kind of, can't think of an idea for it, I'll ask before I go to sleep, okay, how am I going to resolve this? And I wake up with the answer just by asking
Brilliant.
yourself.
That's brilliant. Yeah. And take it a step further, everybody. If just asking yourself doesn't seem to be producing it, write it down on a piece of paper as you're sitting on your bed or in a journal, and stick it on the end table, on the side table to your bed. And if you receive anything in the morning, write it down. The way the mind works is repetition seems important. So if we repeat actions like this, the mind will start to, and the psyche will get involved. They will start to go, oh, that stuff's important. I'm going to put some focus on that. It's not like you have multiple personalities. These are facets of the same gem. Yeah, so you just have to give yourself that little bit of time, 4 minutes if you can. Now, another big question is, well, it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. All these complaints, right? I understand. I totally get it. So there have been statements about measurement for those of you who just can't let go of where's the end point. Well, it's not an end point. Let's think of it like a doorway or a gateway that you go through to get to the next level, like in a video game. It has been said and scientifically analyzed that it takes about 2.5 years of steady practice before you start feeling that bliss state that is talked about. Okay, that gives you a little bit of idea of, what if everybody, what if you listened? Could you make a commitment to listen to the mini break guided meditation every day, once a day, for a couple years, for 2.5 years? I would love for somebody to take that challenge.
That's how I started. I started doing the guided meditation. It was actually with Vishen. He done the 6th stage, and eventually I kind of just started doing it myself. So I was listening to him. And his one was about 22 minutes, and I knew sometimes that I was just doing it myself, and eventually I do my own one. And there's other times like I play the meditation podcast, and I just turn on different ones. And sometimes during the day you prefer there's ones you like at the night time, and there's ones in the morning, and even during the day. Because, for example, if you're in work and everybody's taking a smoking break and you don't smoke, why not recharge your batteries and have a 5-minute meditation or a 10-minute meditation?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Close your eyes. I mean, so during this pandemic, we've been on screen so much. I could play how many hours have you been on Zoom poker? Yesterday, 7.5 hours. Okay, that's a lot. That's a full workday. I mean, my eyes, you have to back away. You have to rest your eyes. You have to give yourself a break. So one of the great ways that I do that is by clapping my hands together, rubbing them vigorously till I feel some heat. And then when I start to feel a fire forming in my 2 palms, cup my hands over my eyes, take a few deep breaths, say, ah. And then go back if you have to. But I mean, if you just give yourself a little break like that, it's going to really make a difference.
Exactly. And the same with the breathing, just a few minutes of the proper breathing, because majority of us were shallow breathers. We're not breathing properly. And by just using your breath properly can put you into meditative state.
Absolutely. I personally find, and what I find myself teaching the most is primordial sound. Because even just trying to get somebody to do breathing exercises, they can get and cranky and resistant. It's so hard. And yes, okay, I admit that ancient pranayama, which are the breathing exercises. You got to put your fingers in a certain way and move, and the elbows here, and switching back and forth, and my arms getting tired. And okay, I understand. I get it. So how about this? When you were a little kid, you really liked dancing and singing. Believe it or not, you may not remember, but you liked it. All little kids do this. And those of you who have little kids, watch your little kids and then try and argue with me about this. Because we all loved it. We heard music, we bounced, we saw people dance. We were the first ones up at parties when
I
we
still
were
do
2
that.
and 3 years old. You still are. Me too. And because it's fun. But how about this? Just play along with me, everybody. Take a deep breath in. We're just going to say, ah, ah. So I'll do it again. Deep breath in. Ah. Let's do it one more time. But this time, let's get a little playful with our voices. So we'll go kind of up high and slide down, like we're going down a water slide or a sliding board, if that feels okay to you. Take a deep breath in. Ah. Now we're going to say the sound ooh. Take a deep breath in on this. Ooh. You can instantly feel the difference between ah and ooh, but let's take it even further. Let's make the sound mm. And when you make the sound I want you to feel it buzzing around your lips. So if you want to put your fingers up around your upper and lower lip, you can feel it. I want you to make it buzz there, but don't hold the teeth together. Let there be a space between your teeth. Take a deep breath in. Now this next time, that tickles. People tell me it tickles all the time. So if it tickled, you did it perfectly. Now we're going to smile towards the end of that. And imagine that you're pulling it up into the center of your skull. Deep breath in. This creates what I think sounds like a cosmic sound, because you can hear the difference between and am I right? Sounds completely different.
Yeah.
Now, what I just did was I taught you how to chant the sound Om. So I'm going to put it all together. That to me launches me right into the state of meditation.
Like for those that don't know,
Even just listening, am I right? Did you get relaxed listening
yeah,
to
no,
me?
okay. And like where if you go into trying to understand it a bit better, like everything is a frequency, everything is vibrating. So by doing that, you're getting the right frequency for your body to actually relax.
Yes, absolutely. And so let me, if I may, kind of go into what's going on there. When we say ah, we're going outside of ourselves. So we're creating an energetic field around ourselves. When we say ooh, we're starting to draw inward. We come even closer inside or get even more microcosmic when we say And then by smiling and letting the tongue, here's another trick, let the tongue press the palate, the top of the mouth a little bit when you start to smile and draw it up. And you can put that sound right in what I call the cave of meditation, which is about 2 inches inside the skull on the, if we start at the surface on the center line of the nose, at the line of the eyebrows, going inside the skull, this is where the pineal gland is. And then we're vibrating the pineal gland. Now, the pineal gland has all kinds of stuff we in science still don't understand, but we do know that sounds like this and practices like this will actually encourage the pineal gland to let go of a little bit of this magic elixir that then comes down into the area of the heart and creates what we call ojas, which is happiness. It's like happiness juice. And this creates happiness, wellness, harmony. So this is what I've been experimenting, teaching people, and writing about, talking about, to help them feel that they're in the state of meditation.
Yeah, brilliant. And just for those as well, if you take like toothpaste, try to take toothpaste without fluoride, because that actually can put a coating on the pineal gland. So you're better off with a natural toothpaste, and it's better for you.
Yes, and I think this is also why so many people are being attracted to mind-altering plants, because it will help to decalcify the pineal gland and help to open up the chemistry so that the brain functions. Now, the brain naturally will, the glands will naturally let go of some chemical, which is called DMT. This happens a little bit when we're dreaming. It happens a great deal at the first breath and the moment of birth, and also a great deal at the end of life and on the last breath. It's measured. And also when we're having a heightened orgasmic experience. This can be physical, but I mean, we can get really super excited about all kinds of things. Like I imagine winning the lottery would give you kind of a rush like that. Or somebody giving you a fantastic compliment, you know, or just getting a lot of love.
Yeah.
We get that. And this is why we reach for chemistry or the plant world to help us, to remind us that this is who we are. We have this. It's our construct of society and the chemicals that society gives us in the air, in the water, in the products that we use, which can fool us into believing we're not magic.
Exactly. And like I've done a lot of guided breath work, and you'll get amazing kind of downloads, visualizations from that. So that just shows what we're capable of without any drugs or alcohol or anything.
Absolutely. A few months back, Joe Dispenza was doing a lot of video teaching of particular types of breathing and talking about this. There are different breath models which are actually fashioned on the ancient pranayama, perhaps renamed and rebranded. And there are techniques. This is, if we exhale for a longer period of time than we inhale, then we can trip the system and get it to happen. In yoga, we have practices where we do physical tightening or controlling of particular muscle groups. And if yogis have one, we have a set called bandhas. Bandhas are these points where we can squeeze. And if you squeeze, women are going to understand if I say Kegel, if you squeeze Kegel muscles, but just think about how you feel when you really need to use the bathroom, when you really need to go and release, and you got to hold on, and you're holding those muscles, same one, squeezing, those hold back muscles in the area of the perineum. And if you can sit cross-legged by placing the proper heel against the perineum, which is not a flexible position that everybody can get into. So simply just squeezing is the first way. uh, depending on your anatomical plumbing, uh, the female plumbing should put the right heel against the perineum, and the masculine plumbing the left. I'm talking about your anatomy, everybody. And this has nothing to do with gender identification. This is your meat puppet, what I like to call the body, your meat puppet stuff here. And so I'm in a female meat puppet. I put my right heel against, I squeeze in on these muscles, and on the inhalation, just as I guided you earlier, hold the breath in. This will actually start to create space because the skull has sutures. They're not the same kind of joints that we have like in your elbow, where bones are just sitting on each other, and they can make space. But sutures have this soft space where they can kind of pull apart and make more space. You can actually make more space in your skull. And I know we've all had situations emotionally where we feel like we don't have enough space. This will help. So if you take a breath in and you squeeze, and with that added supercharge, if you can get the correct heel in that area, but don't hurt your knees and your hips for me, everybody. There are methods to get your body to get comfortable. That's a whole different thing. I have a video on my YouTube about the art of sitting and how to use bolsters and pillows to work your way into these postures, and how to achieve these postures even now if you don't feel flexible. That holding of the air after that breath and holding the bandha point will actually start to create space. Now, if you consciously imagine, because your imagination is powerful, you can move physical things with your imagination. If you imagine the sutures of the skull opening up, and then you exhale for a longer period of time, preferably twice the length of your inhale. All right, right there, I have just given you some advanced pranayama, advanced method to launch into meditation. I believe that if you practice this, you will definitely find yourself in the state of meditation.
Beautiful, beautiful. No, so listen, Ambika, you have given some wonderful advice. And as we've mentioned, there is plenty of your meditation on the meditation podcast that they can do. I'll also give a link of your YouTube channel where you can show how to sit, so people can actually have a look at that.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes, and I am more than happy to work with you one-on-one, everybody. If you want to learn how to gently and comfortably sit, if you have particular reason why you want to come to me, please do. I am very accessible. You can go to yoginiyoda.com. You can go to my name, ambikadevi.com, get in touch with me, set up a session, and we can get on camera, and I can look at your posture, because this is my preference. I taught physical yoga classes for years, Roy, and people loved my classes because I would start with a guided meditation. So, you didn't come in, it wasn't a gym class. And I got away with this at gyms sometimes. And they were just addicted to my classes because I would get everybody in this relaxed state of meditation where they didn't feel like they were the doers. And I would have them practice with their eyes closed. So they were really going inward and feeling their bodies. I much prefer to work one-on-one. It's hard for me to keep my eyes on 50 people at once and make sure everybody's safe and comfortable. And truly, I feel, for me, teaching any kind of physical postures is so much more effective when I'm working with you and your particular needs. And then we can take you into the state of meditation in the way that's just right for you.
Beautiful. And what I'll do is I put all the links that you've mentioned under the podcast. And for those that are just listening, we have recorded this as well, so you'll be able to see the video on the YouTube channel, and that will also be on the podcast description, so you'll be able to find it. So Ambika, thank you. As always, thank you very much. Look forward to the next time we're going to speak, but I know that you've helped a lot of people with your words of wisdom today.
Oh, thank you so much, Roy. Thank you, everybody, for listening. It's always a pleasure. Namaste.
Namaste. So that's all from the Meditation Podcast. You'll find all the episodes on meditationpodcast.org. We've also got the Speaking Podcast, speakingpodcast.com, and you'll find a lot of Ambika's breathwork and different things on that as well. Well worth a listen. So until next week, take care.